Good afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates on August 18th. I'm doing a medium and long range outlook. I haven't done one in a while, so we'll take a look at what we've got coming down the road. As always, I want to thank those of you who are patrons on Patreon, subscribers through madcoweather.com, or donors to the page, and of course, all our awesome sponsors that are on the page here: Community Hospital, Madison County Federal Credit Union, TrueView Exteriors, 7P HVAC, Glampers Net, Waitman Realty Group, Joy Mitchell Independent Cincy Consultant, Uranus Fudge of Indiana, and the Anderson Symphony Orchestra. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to our sponsors. All right, digging into the forecast, we're using the National Weather Service blend of models just to give an idea of how the pattern is going to progress. We're going to be very pleasant, of course, today. We'll be very pleasant tomorrow and kind of early fall like, really, as conditions are. We're going to be probably stay in the 70s today, maybe 80 to lower 80s tomorrow. And then the heat will begin to build in from the southwest beginning Sunday. And we can see we're still kind of right on the edge of it. And the National Weather Service blend of models has us hanging right around 90 degrees. I think that's about right for Sunday. But then the heat will get much more intense during the week. We'll take a look at that. One of the things I wanted to note was that the models kind of want to keep the thermal gradient, the barrier between the hot air and the cooler air, really close to our region, and that's very possible on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So while I think that boundary is going to be farther north, probably northern Indiana or southern Michigan, if that boundary is closer to us or a little bit to our south, we may only be in the upper 80s on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But I really think beginning Sunday we're gonna be around or above 90 degrees. But we'll see how that happens. Just know that a little bit of a shift. You can see how tight it is. A little bit of a shift could make a huge difference in that. Here's a look at Tuesday. Again, the heat continues to just build in a little bit closer and a little bit closer. By this point, it's got the mid 90s as close as Indianapolis, Terre Haute, and Bloomington. It still has us around 90 degrees. Again, I think by that point we're going to be in the lower 90s, but by the time we're getting that warm and the humidity is beginning to build in, the difference between 91 degrees and 93 degrees really isn't going to be that much. So here's a look as heat again intensifies even more on Wednesday. Again, the modeling kind of wants to keep that boundary really close, but I really think it's going to be farther to the north and east. And I think by this point, by Wednesday, we're going to be firmly into the low to maybe mid 90s. The hottest day is probably going to be on Thursday, right before that heat dome begins to weaken. It'll peak out. By this point, I did not intend for that to change. So by the time this we're reaching this peak right here, it has this is a blend of models. This is a blend of all different models, and it has Indianapolis at 97 degrees, and has Anderson, Muncie areas at 94. I think that's very possible, especially if the humidity is a touch lower. We actually could get a little bit hotter than that. Which brings us to records. Monday and Tuesday, the records are 100 and 101. I don't think we're coming anywhere near that. To me, if we're going to break any records, it's probably going to happen on Wednesday and Thursday, where the highs were 97 degrees. All of next week's records were set in 1936. So that was a very hot week back in 1936. And the records on Wednesday and Thursday are 97 degrees, I think with a little bit lower humidity, those records may be within reach. Now, finally, by Friday, the heat may begin to dial back some. I still think it's possible we could reach 90 degrees next Friday. We'll just have to see. But you can see that the everything's beginning to build in. The cooler air is beginning to build in from the north. So we will begin to cool down behind that. And then by next Saturday, then we're probably at around 80 to the lower 80s again. And temperatures will be kind of around average. Some of the model data is beginning to see the cool down that will come after this heat wave, what will likely come after this heat wave, but they're still trying to keep temperatures in the low to mid 80s. I think that's probably too warm. I would not be surprised as we get into the following week for highs to be in the 70s again, but we'll see how that plays out as it gets closer. So one of the things that I always look at is the Bering Sea and the North Pacific, and Indiana kind of equates right around here. And so, not exactly, it kind of varies. But this is from a couple of days ago, and you can see there was a major, major trough in the North Pacific and into the Bering Sea that would have, at a 17 to 21 day lag, would put this cool down, and it was already underway by the time this I recorded this loop. It was already about our second day of that, so that's why I've been thinking that even though data has been kind of hot for the end of this month and beginning of September, I've kind of been thinking we're going to be cooler based on the North Pacific. Things can throw wrenches into that, though. One of the things that can throw a wrench into is the possibility of a tropical system forming in the Gulf of Mexico next week. If that happens, and if it tracks and stays to our southwest instead of recurving, that could mean some heat builds back in for us. So those little things can happen. Tropical systems can change things, but overall, the pattern looks like to me it's going to get cooler at the end of this month and into September. Then here is the loop from today. This thing is not cooperating very well. Sorry about that. Let's try it again. So anyway, here's the loop from today, and again, you can see the first trough had moved out, and we got yet more deepening. Kind of back here is another. It's this low pressure moved across. So we may be looking at a storm system there in the first week of September that may then reinforce some cooler air. So we'll see how that pans out. That's still a long way out, but we'll see how it pans out. Right now, I'm expecting cooler trends. And then the last thing I want to look at is going to be I don't show the CFS very often, but I'm going to do it here because I think it's got a pretty decent idea of how things are going to play out. So, here we are at Tuesday. We've got this big high pressure build over. This is at 850 millibar level, so it's above the surface. But you can see we got the big dome of high pressure building over, and that really is in control Wednesday, and all the way into early or late next week before it begins to back off to the west. And then as we move on from there, the CFS is seeing the deepening trough in here, and is seeing the high pressure ridge building back to the west. So as you let it go on, you can see we get all these little loops of cooler air just kind of, and we're kind of in this little battle zone where warm will try to shoot in real quick, and then but cooler air is trying to become more dominant. And so by the time we're getting into early to mid September, we're beginning to see more cool shots. Again, I don't normally show the CFS, but I really think it's kind of is on the right track with what may be coming. So September is either going to be pretty warm or pretty cool. I'm erring on more with pretty cool with just shots of warm. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm kind of on my own island on that, but hey, we're used to me being on my island, and sometimes I'm wrong about it. And usually I do okay, but we'll see how this plays out. I just kind of wanted to show that because I think the CFS kind of is on the right path. So with all that, again, those of you who support this page financially, thank you so much. Some of you have come up with some donations a few days ago that really helped out, and bringing on, yeah, TrueView. TrueView to do our severe weather stuff has really helped out big time. But if you don't normally donate or don't donate at all, and you can, please go to any of these areas, and all the links are at the top and pin posts at the top of Facebook and Twitter. Please donate to this page and help support it, help keep it going, and hopefully, if we could get enough donations, I can get some better stuff and do better forecasts and better presentations for you. So, with all that said, this is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the cool weather before the heat rolls in. Thank you.